Hello again. In this tutorial, we will explore strings and text processing, and we're going to explain how they are implemented in C# and in what way we can process text contents. Additionally, we will go through different methods for manipulating a text. We will learn how to compare strings, how to search for substring, how to extract substring, and many others. Let me hop over to the course content. So at the end of this course, you will be able to know what is string, how to declare a string, the system string class. I'll explain the system string class. And one thing you need to understand about string is that it's also our reserved words, our keywords. So we're trying to build our knowledge base concerning regarding keywords. I'm going to be talking about string escaping. We talk about passing a string expression. We talk about the comparison of a string. And concatenation, we talk about how you can switch from lowercase to uppercase and all that. Then we're going to be talking about the extraction or portion of a string, then replacing a substring, and removing unnecessary character at the beginning and at the end of a string. Now let's go. Let's continue with the app, and I'm going to launch my Visual Studio. This time around, I want to create a new project and make sure the project is I'm going to name it week 1 because this is part of week 1 project. So we build all week 1 project within a program, within a project. Then from there we move to other things. The next thing I'm going to do is I want to create a C# application, and this time we'll create a web application. Like I said, I don't want to use ASP.NET Core web application, but going forward after week 3 we'll start using our ASP.NET web application. But it's a little bit tricky, that is why I decided not to use it for now. We're going to use our .NET web application using web form. This is simple, it's a bit easy to use, and it's very simple. Beside that, you learn how you can easily get your hand dirty with code when you want to develop a desktop application, because it's similar to desktop application. But after week 3, we'll finally move to our ASP.NET Razor pages. So let's go. I'm going to select this ASP web application and click next. This time around, I will go to location and select documents, Visual Studio 2019, and I want to create a website full stack. So I'll create a new folder called full stack apps. Press enter, go into that folder, and I'll click OK. Then this one, I want to change the name going forward to week 1 projects. I'll leave it this way, and of course leave it this way. The framework I want to target, if you don't see this, maybe you are using another, you can upgrade your of course you're supposed to choose you see this 4.7. I'm going to choose 4.7, or you can choose lower, anyone to work, maybe 4.5 or 4.6, but I'm going to choose 4.7.2, and I'll click create. Now there are different. Don't forget that when you select ASP.NET web application, the .NET framework, there are quite a number of things you can do with it. You can create a web form, you can create MVC, but I'm not going to create a web MVC now. We're going to stick with web forms, and later we'll move to Razor pages, which is ASP.NET Core and apps. Now I'll select web form. I'll just highlight web form. I don't need authentication for now. By the time we get to week 6, we'll be talking about authentication and all that. I don't want it to be configured for security because it's just a simple project, and I'll click create. Excellent. We now have a project called Week One projects, and Microsoft has been able to set up a number of things for us here, like default page and all that. And we're not going to use this. I will close this up and select default page. So we're going to be working on this default page for a number of times now. To do that, don't worry about all this design. By the time we get to week 3, I will explain this. But I want you to be very sound in using reserved keywords. This is our front page, which is similar to front-end design. But basically, we are interested in the back end. So to do that, I'm going to set the design here. I'll call it strings, and oops, there's a mistake here. Strings and test processing, and I'm going to tell that in this tutorial you will learn string and test processing. Here we go. I'm going to get rid of this because we don't need it for now. The first thing I want to do now, let's explain what is string. So what is string? Based on our slides, typically in practice we often come to the text processing and like reading text files, searching for keywords using Google and replacing them in a paragraph, validating user input and all that. In such cases, we can save the text content which you will need in string and process them using a C# language. For instance, when your user key in values like username and password, you can save that username and password in a string and process it for further use. Now, what is string? A string is a sequence of characters. Maybe I should just write a bit here. So, what is string? A string. Okay, let me quickly write it here for you to get. I'm going to copy and paste it here. So a string is a sequence of characters stored in a certain address in memory. In the variable of type character, we can record only one character, whereas it is necessary to process more than one character, then string comes to our head. Okay, so when you are dealing with words, sentences and all that, string is the best option. Now let's go around this. Let's go to the PowerPoint. How can we declare a string? To declare a string, I'm going to get rid of this and bring in an event trigger. I'll go to Toolbox. It's coming up, okay. What I want to do is I want to bring in an event trigger that when I click it, you see how it works. I'm going to bring in a button, and this button, I'll call it initialize, declaring a string, okay. And under it, when people click on this, so what I want to do basically is that when people click on this, it will declare a string, things like that. By default, when you write something like on click, you're trying to send something to server. So In other words, we need to create a method that will receive it from the server side. To do that, once you do this, automatically Visual Studio will create uh, the backend. This is our backend, this is our front end, and this is the backend, and this is a connection between the two. Okay. All right. So the front end here with our backend, notice that this are a bunch of C# codes, whereas these are like HTML or CSS and JavaScript and all that. So when you send something to the server, it will come to this will process it. Now, our goal is to be able to use all these keywords and use it to pass information to our user. Okay, so within this button one click, which is the name given to this, like I said in our previous videos, you must name your components or your tools. The name of this is button one. When I go back to default, for me to declare my string, I'm going to write string, my string. This is string declaration. I don't have to do anything. Now, you may be tempted, there are several ways you can um, declare your string, but there are some things you must put in consideration when declaring variable. When declaring variables, variable must not contain the following. Number one, cannot start with numbers. Number two, cannot contain space or spaces. Number three, cannot contain symbol, like all of this. Excellent. So if you want to write something like first name, let's say string first name, ideally it's supposed to be like this, first and name. This is not acceptable because of the space. To do that, you have to add the two together and capitalize this one. It doesn't really matter. Of course, you can use underscore if you want it this way, but it doesn't really matter. But I prefer not to use underscore. I prefer the Hungarian style of writing. You can use hyphen, no, but you can use underscore. It doesn't really matter. I prefer the Hungarian style of writing by capitalizing the first letter. So with this, I will be able to read it first, okay, name, things like that. And if you prefer, you can use underscore. Doesn't matter. And you can add numbers if you like, but numbers cannot be the first letter. Okay. Equals. Now, one thing you need to know is that you can initialize your string. What I mean by initialize is that by default, let's say by default that string comes with uh, a value. It's a good practice for you to initialize your string. Now look at this. Now I've not initialized this. The variable this is declared but never used. So I just declared it in a memory and I'm not using it. So it's just wasting my memory, my RAM. To initialize it, I can now say first name at the solar. This is how to initialize my string. and of course I just declared it in my in the memory, but I need to use it. I need to assign values to it. We're going to be dealing with many of these. Let's hop over to our PowerPoint and talk about the system.string.class. Now, this was able to the string. I was able to use the word string because this belongs to a class called system.string. I'm going to be talking about class much later. A class, notice that if we disable this, if you comment this out, you will get a bunch of errors like this and all that. And if you comment this one, this will not work. Now, this is because in C sharp, there's what we call object-oriented programming, which shall be explaining much later. With this object-oriented programming, uh, there is what we call class and a method I'm going to explain all this later. Don't worry. By week 3, you will understand the meaning of the class. Okay. So your string is under class system.string, okay? So which is embedded inside this system. Another thing you need to know that strings are very similar to character arrays, but unlike them, they cannot be modified. Now there are several ways you can declare string, like I said the other time. The next thing I want to talk about is string escaping. To talk about string escaping, I'm going to do one or two things here. I'm going to write string my quotes equals this tutorial's title is, I want this to be inside quotes, full stack development. Notice that I have now. Okay, let me do this. Let me first write it in full stack development, web app development. Okay, web app development. Okay, now this is cool, but suppose I want to, let me put something, working with string escaping. Suppose I want to add quotes on this, that is double quotes. How am I going to fix that? To do that, there is what we call escape sequence. We'll be dealing with quite a number of them. To add quotes within the same string, I'm going to use backslash, then the quotes, and then a backslash the quotes. This way, this will display as quote. Let's quickly run our application. To run the application, I need to set the output. I'm going to bring in another label. I'll bring in another label. I'll call this output. Output label. I'm going to remove the text. The next thing I'm going to do is to go back to my code. I want this to display in text, to display to my users. I'll say first name, I'll explain all this later, plus my quotes. Excellent. No error detected. I'll build this app and launch it. Excellent. To launch it, you can either click the play button here, or you right click and view in browser. Okay, this is our string. I'm going to click declaring string now. Notice that this contains double quotes. Beautiful. I'll hop over to desktop to my code. Now let's play around other string formats. We're going to be talking about passing a string expression. Up to this moment, we'll be dealing with a button. Now, this code is what we call string expression. This is also called string expression. Basically, the third option to initialize a string is to pass the value of a string expression to operator. Or better still, we have a string and another string. For me to do it this way, this is first name plus my quote is called string expression. Now, one thing you need to notice is that inside default, we have output label. By default, anything output from here, like image and all that, the data type will accept string only. For instance, let's say output label, the test must accept string. Let's say we now want to pass something like 500 to it. It's going to give an error. Why? Because cannot implicitly convert int to string. So by default, .test of any label is string. I'm going to get rid of this. The next thing on our agenda is the equal to and not equal to operator in string. To do that, I'm going to write this. I'll say output.label plus equals I want to use escape string this time around. There is an escape string called backend, but since I'm dealing with string and I'm using web application, there's an escape sequence called br. So this will render as HTML. But if you are using maybe you are coding in if you are developing desktop application, the ideal escape sequence is /n. That's the ideal escape sequence. This we create it in a new line. It's the same thing as this in HTML. If you're not familiar with this, I would recommend that you enroll for a full front-end web development. The two courses, they are free. You can read more about all this escape sequence and all that. The next thing we're going to be dealing with is we want to talk about the operators, the equals to and non-equal to operator. What I want to do basically, I want to declare a string called string first word. I will call this phone. Don't forget your string must be inside double quotes. I'll call this phone. I'll declare another one, string second word. I'll call this laptop. Now, what I want to do is I want to compare if this one is same thing as this. That is phone equals laptop. To compare the two, there's a class called equals. We're going to be dealing with that now. I'm going to say output again dot label plus equals. Now let me explain plus equals. Plus equals means I want is same thing as the value of what is inside this place, add to it. Add to it. Don't delete it, just keep adding to it. So instead of me to write it this way, what is inside this place, decline it here again, then add to it. Add more words. I can now add plus here, plus equals, and to give me the same thing. It will say, okay, what you're trying to say is that you want to add more to this with this plus equals. So there is no need for you to write it again. Just add plus equals. Alright. Now I want to add is, everything must be inside is first word plus, don't forget we use plus for concatenation. Okay, I'm going to talk about that one very shortly. It's first word equal plus second word. I will say give me the answer, and the answer will be first word dot equals, I want to pass the second word now, which is second word. I'm sorry, second word. Now, because this is a string, there are several attributes to a string. For instance, if I say first word dots, there are so many things I can get with that first word. There are so many written code for strings that I can easily use. That is, I can get the length of that word, I can replace it, I can split this, I can trim, I can contain, I can use contain, I can clone it, I can compare it to something else, I can concatenate it, just like using plus. I can copy it to another string. I can count the number of letters there. This is equal to, that is to determine whether this stands as a specific object, which must also be a string object, have the same value. I can get the first letter and so many other things. Don't worry, we're going to be dealing with many of this much later, but I want you to get the idea. And this is exactly what we're trying to do. Now we want this guy to return if it is true or false, if first word, if laptop equals phone. I'm going to save and build. Don't forget, anytime you create something in your backend application, it is essential for you to build succeeded. I'll walk over to my browser and refresh the page. Excellent. Now if you see this now, if I click declaring a string, we have this, and this we did not replace. So is phone equals laptop, it returned false. Now let's play around it a bit. Let's make this true, the same thing, and build it, and click on this. You notice that is actually true. Now let's do something. Let's make this capital letter and build our app. Let's go back to this page and refresh the page. And I'm click this. You notice that it is actually false because string are case sensitive. This phone is not equal to this. And even if it's just H that is different, or P, if it's just one letter that is different from this, it's going to return false. So if you're comparing two things and you want to ensure that, oh, even if it is case sensitive or not, we're going to be using another method called to lower and to upper. Let's hop over to our code, and I'm going to select, let's use something else here, PowerPoint. Okay, we've been able to use this operator. Okay, another thing we need to do, let me explain this. The operator, string operators. Let's use this as string operators. I'm going to get rid of this and say, instead of using equal to, just like this, equals, you can actually write it like this as well. Is first name compared to second name, it will still do the same thing. Or not equal to second name, it will still do the same thing. The next thing I'm going to talk about is concatenation. Now let me write concatenation here instead of operator. I'm going to say adding two strings together. Okay, I'll say string 1 is first name plus string 2, second name equals final equals output. Now let's write this in code behind. To do that, I'm going to use breakpoint here, BR, so that to break to the next line. I'll bring in my button. I will name this button, instead of button 2, to concatenation, and I'll change this text to concatenate. So on click, when you click on it, now let's do something quickly. I'm going to copy this text, or let's do something better, different this time around. I'm going to bring in a text box. I'll make sure this one breaks to the next line as well, so that my app will look nice. I'll call this test1, test1 text box, and text2 text box, text2 text box. So what you write here and what you write here will be added together and create a string, concatenation string for us. To do that, I'm going to pass the value of, let's add one more thing. I'm going to add label, output label 2, output label 2. I'll get rid of the text so that it won't display anything when we first launch it. Okay. Output label 2 the test, don't forget test only accepts string, and test box 1 dot test plus text box 2 text 2 dot text. Excellent. Now if we do it this way, it's going to merge everything together. Now let's build our app and go to the browser. I'm going to click this. Okay, I love Afolabi, love coding on daily basis. So I'm going to click concatenate. Notice that we have Afolabi and there is no space in between. To do that, I'll hop over to my code, and I want to add breakpoint here so that the may break to the next line, so that the output will break to the next line instead of adding it that way. I'll hop over to the code behind and add a string here, just an empty string with a space, and this will break to the next line. I'll build my app and go over to this. Let's go over it again. Afolabi love to eat on the yam and egusi soup. Okay, I'll click concatenate. Excellent. The next thing I want to show is switching to upper and lower cases. To do that is extremely simple. I'll go over to this place. I'm going to create another page here, upper case and uppercase and lower case in string. So I'll get rid of this. I'll bring in button. Let me just copy one of these buttons and I'll call this your string. I'll get rid of this as well. Let's bring in button, and as usual, output 3. Let's break to next line. Output 3. Uppercase. Okay. and I want to add another one. This will turn to uppercase, while this will change to lowercase. This one will be lowercase. So this one will be lowercase. And this one will be uppercase. So when you click on this, it will turn whatever you put here to uppercase. When you click on this, turn it to lowercase. To do that, I'm going to use fired event, and I'm going to do the same for this as well. Next, I'm going to get the name of this text, your string text. I'll say output 3 label dot text equals your string dot text dot to, this is upper, to upper, because a method. Don't worry, when you get to method aspect, you understand this. Just keep it simple like this. For lowercase, this will be to lower. Excellent. I'll build this application and run the code. What I want to do now is I want to write for $NIS $inbox, things like this. When I click upper, it changes everything to uppercase. When I click lowercase, it changes everything to lowercase. Excellent. The next thing we want to do is extracting a portion of a string. To do that, now what I want to do basically is I want to extract $out from this string. I'll go over to my code. I'm going to bring in another button, possibly here. I'll name this using substring. Substring. So that when I click on it, I want this string to be able to extract a portion of a string and display the output here. So I'll go over to the C# aspects, the code behind. I'm going to write string values and give it any name equals how to extract a portion of a string. So the output will be output 3 dot text equals the values dot substring of portion. Now you can either set to start from an index, or you can set it within a space. For instance, this is index 0, 1, 2. Space is also an index 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So if I want to extract from portion now up to this place, I can say index, let's say 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, let's say 15. But make sure that if it's going to be like this, you must get the length of this page. Because if you write 30 and it's not, this is not up to 30, it's going to break your code. We're going to be dealing with many of these later. I'll build my app now. And go back to this place and press enter. For substring, as you can see, a portion of a string. You go back to this, a portion of a string. I can say let it start from a portion of a string. You can say let it start from here to this place. So I'm going to say comma. The length of it, let's say up to 7. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'll build this. Let's add a break line so that we break to the next line. I'm going to click using. Here we go. The next thing we're going to do is we'll talk about this, which is this. You can extract a portion, you can replace a portion. So let's replace something. To do that, I'll go over to my code. I'll add another button. I'll call this replace string 2. Okay. Let's name it using replace. And I'm going to bring in the event. Let's play with the same code. But this time around, I want to use replace. Dot replace. What do I want to replace? The whole character. Instead of extract, I want to use replace. What do I want to replace it with? I'll use replace. And that will be all. I'll build the code again and go back to my browser and refresh. I'll click on replace. How to replace a portion of a string. The last but not the least is removing unnecessary characters at the beginning and the end. I'm going to use what we call, let's hop over to this and replace, or we call it string. I'm going to call this string. This will trim here. This is very good when you are dealing with username and password. I'm going to call string username equals Phineas, and I'm going to give it like space, because space is also a character, and I want output dot text equals So if we have this, I can say this username dot stream plus this is my username. So Peniel, okay. Now what I want to do is I don't want to use trim now. I just want to concatenate it this way so that you see the effect of trim. And it's very, very good, useful when you're dealing with username. I'm going to build this now and go to the browser. I'll click trim. This is my username. Right, it's supposed to be. You notice that it's just giving one space. Now let's walk over it again. And okay, let's get rid of this. I think this is actually showing, but in coding generally, this is actually we're working together as like this will actually work, but in display mode it will show you this, but in coding you won't be able to see this. So I'm going to let me get rid of this now. I'll build this and go back to build succeeded. I'll go back to this space and let's run it one more time. This is my username. But now what I want to do basically is I want to step through it so that you see how it works with this now. And I'll click this express express, and you can click the play button. But this will run in debug mode, and I want to step through the code and tell you the importance of using trim. I'm going to click this trim. It will take me back to my server, my backend, and I want to step over. If you notice that this string is equal to this, it's like this. So when you declare it this way and you're trying to pass it as users and then password or username or password, it's going to return error because this should be treated as part of the characters, and it's going to return false. But in display mode it will return like this. So when you up over again, in display mode it's actually returning like this, but in rendering it you won't see much difference, but in code behind there is a clear difference. Now let's stop this now and let's use dot trim. You can use trim start. If you use trim dot trim, it will trim both edges. Maybe it's like this to trim both edges. But if you use trim dot trim start or trim end, it's trim end or starting characters. So let me add one more string here. String real username equals username. So see the difference. Okay, I'm going to launch it again. Roll pad, click. My string name equals this, as you can see. When it comes to this place, this, oh okay, I didn't trim it here. Let's do that quickly. I'm going to put dot trim here and launch the app again. then click trim and step over it to trace error. If you notice this one, all the white space has been trimmed off. So that's how to use trim. And I'll click play to Pioneer is my username. Okay, the spaces has been trimmed off. That's why you're not seeing the white spaces has been trimmed off. So in the next video, we're going to be dealing with more result keywords. Thank you.